Thank you all for joining my session today, Evolving Your Intranet to Play a Key Role in Your Employee Experience Strategy. My name is Janine Markey. I'm the Director of Marketing at Workgrid Software. I'm looking forward to discussing today employee experience and the Internet. Employee experience is quickly becoming one of the highest priority initiatives across organizations, small and large. But with dozens of new employee applications in every organization, employee experience is also becoming fragmented. During this presentation, I plan on sharing the shift we're seeing towards employee experience and how you can ensure that you're positioning your Intranet to be a key element of your organization's employee experience strategy. I'll share best practices and examples from real case studies. Before we jump in, let me take a quick minute to introduce you to Workgrid Software. Workgrid Software was actually born out of Liberty Mutual Insurance. Back in 2013, Liberty Mutual set out to transform the digital experience for their 50,000 global employees, with a goal of providing their employees a best-in-class digital workplace where employees' interactions at work were as personalized, relevant, and intuitive as in their everyday lives. The platform Liberty built to improve the employee experience was so successful internally that a new company was formed, introducing Workgrid Software, a wholly owned company of Liberty Mutual that builds and sells employee experience focused software outside the walls of Liberty Mutual. At Workgrid, we believe employees are happiest, fulfilled, and most engaged when focusing on work that matters. Yet today's fragmented digital work experience is causing significant engagement, communication, and productivity issues in the workplace. And it's all hindering the potential of our employees. At Workgrid, this is what we're solving for. Our mission is to make work simpler, more efficient, and engaging. We do this through our digital employee experience platform, which allows organizations to create experiences that are centered around the employee and their needs. Workgrid does this by integrating across all the disparate systems in the enterprise to deliver personalized and contextual information to each employee based on what's important to them, all in a modern unified experience. Let's jump into the presentation. I want to start with the state of employee experience in the Intranet to really set the stage. I mentioned employee experience is quickly becoming one of the highest priority initiatives. This movement is creating a dramatic shift in the market, and it's happening across all lines of business. Let's take a look at what I mean. Analysts and highly profiled thought leaders are talking about employee experience as the next big thing. I've heard it at every event I've been to over the last 2 to 3 years across various industries. Gartner has even coined the term EX Tech to define all of the technology that helps support the employee. Josh Bersin, a leading HR analyst, has called out that an entire new category has arisen called employee experience platforms. And if you were to do a quick Google search, you'd find an array of vendors all competing for employee experience. And what's interesting is each one of these vendors has a completely different offering. They're coming at employee experience from different angles. You have communication tools, there's survey tools, CRM software, Intranet software, HR tools, and so on. This shift is across all software categories. Human capital management is transforming to human experience management, moving from a transactional system to an experience-based system. This means your typical HCM companies like SAP are investing to increase the abilities of their platform and evolve to be more than just an HR tool, but a place where employees can go to find information and get work done. Collaboration tools like Slack are trying to completely transform the way employees communicate, being the centralized location for communications, even eliminating email and providing employees more than just a place to collaborate and connect, but complete tasks, find information, and seek help from colleagues. Salesforce has spent significant investments evolving its platform from a CRM to what they claim as a single destination for all your employees. Certainly sounds like something you would say about the Intranet. So, as you can see, there are now dozens of employee applications all fighting for our employees' attention. Gone are the days where the Intranet is the single source to find news and information, find your coworkers, and complete tasks. And for the employee, well, from their point of view, the experience is splintered and it's fragmented. The internet used to be the one system that supports me as an employee, the one system that supports me getting my job done and everything else in between. And I think today, what we're seeing now more than ever with the majority of our workforce remote is the importance of providing employees a single access point to find information and have a single source of truth. Employees are not sitting in an office with their coworkers where they can just spin around in their chair and ask someone something, not knowing and feeling a little bit isolated where to find information, or finding information and it being inaccurate data can be both frustrating and have damaging effects. Now, all these tools that are being rolled out by different lines of business, they're not intentionally going against the internet. Each department is critical in the success of transforming your employee experience. Naturally, each department supports the employee experience in a different manner and work towards yielding different outcomes. So this would occur naturally in silos, each department with their own budgets, their own projects, their own objectives, all aligned to meet their own goals and needs. So where does this leave the internet? With all these solutions trying to be the next employee experience platform, I think it presents a threat to the internet because, again, there are now multiple tools doing exactly what the internet's core function is. According to a survey ran by Forrester, the survey found that internet came in dead last behind all other productivity tools in user satisfaction and its ability to help employees with their job. And according to Gartner, as many as 90% of internets fail to achieve their goals. Now, over the last day and a half, we've seen some incredible case studies of great internet experiences. A lot of hard work and modernization have gone into these internets. And I don't think those internets necessarily represent these stats, at least not today. But I also wonder what will happen over time as more and more line of business applications move from transactional focus to experience focus. Will employees still choose the internet? And that's where I believe we must challenge our organizations. We must challenge the groups that are responsible for employee experience to rethink the employee experience strategy and ensure the internet is a key part of the strategy. Don't undervalue it. Don't undervalue your internet. It can and should play a role in the employee experience strategy. And so I want to walk through 3 critical areas that I feel are important and will ensure that your internet can be positioned to play a key role in the employee experience. We'll talk about the key components of strategy and planning, the types of technologies and your strategy around a future-proof architecture, and how to think about the user experience. Let's kick things off with strategy and planning. Ownership. Ownership is very important part of the strategy and one that really should put a lot of focus on getting right. So employee experience, you may have seen or heard analogies in the past about soccer teams and really being a team sport. And it's not something one department can or should manage. Maybe you've heard about forming a steering committee, and in theory, this is all a good idea, but I'm going to challenge you to think more broadly. Just bringing in the right teams or the right stakeholders to get together, eventually, each one of those stakeholders will go off and solve for their own departmental problems using a siloed approach. Again, they're all focusing on employee experience, but they're not looking at employee experience from the employee standpoint. HR might start focusing on revamping the onboarding process, or maybe they're looking at programs to increase internal mobility, and likely the solutions they use will be different tools than what IT plans on using to increase satisfaction for the help desk tickets. And this is because, again, historically, finding a dedicated technology to meet all of their goals would be impossible. To be successful, there really needs to be formal ownership, independent of any department. So independent of internal comms, independent of HR, IT, facilities management. Ideally, the ownership is a separate team. Certainly for smaller organizations, starting out with one individual is perfectly suitable. And this team will be the formal ownership. And that is how you're going to achieve a holistic approach to your employee experience, where the experience puts the employee at the center, not the different technologies. This ownership team becomes the glue that binds together the separate parts of the employee experience. You still have stakeholders or steering committee, but the team with the protected ownership works directly with the stakeholders and works directly with employees and other teams across the enterprise, such as security or compliance or marketing, ensuring the vision is delivered and represented equally across all stakeholders. You need someone like a product owner that can own the roadmap, understand each stakeholder's priorities, understand the needs as employees, collect user feedback, and so on. Let's talk about vision. It's very important to put together a vision. The vision should also align to your business objectives across the organization to ensure that the project is constantly meeting the needs of your organization and your employees. You may also find it very useful to develop key pillars or design principles that you'll want to align every decision to, and even wrap user stories around. Let's take up 2 examples. First example is from Liberty Mutual. Their vision when they first embarked on improving the digital employee experience was to deliver employees with a personalized and engaging experience that enabled users to easily access content, people, and streamline work processes when and where they choose in order to improve their overall productivity by leveraging best-in-class technology. Liberty understood to meet employee expectations, the workforce of today is expecting consumer-like experiences. So core pillars evolved around anywhere, anytime access, engaging in intuitive experiences, and experiences that enabled productivity and achieved operational excellence. Another customer example we have here is a company that started their employee experience strategy looking to improve the experience for their frontline employees. Their vision was to unleash the strength of their sales team by modernizing the digital workplace and providing personalized action drivers so sales could do more of what they do best, sell. To be successful, they knew the solution needed to focus around 3 core pillars: lean, simple, and fast. This is what was important to the frontline persona, and all the design decisions evolved around these 3 key pillars. And probably one of the most important strategy and planning is understanding your employees. If you don't fully understand your employees and their needs, you will most likely not succeed at implementing a solution that is beneficial to them. You'll need to look at the opportunity, where the opportunity exists to improve the experience across various journeys. You want to ensure you're creating personas, conducting user studies, developing journey mapping, and really looking for opportunities to improve different processes that can have large impacts across employee satisfaction, productivity, and your bottom line. This is an example here of personas that we built out at Liberty Mutual. And so we were focusing on simplifying the workday for employees. So with this in mind, we started with 6 digital personas: customer-facing call center rep, customer-facing field rep, office professional that was stationary, office professional that roamed, a manager, and a new employee. Now, it's important to understand that, and perfectly normal, that you actually may have a few sets of personas for different types of experiences that you're analyzing. What you use for, say, talent recruitment may look a lot different than the personas you use for onboarding or processing, or a process where you're looking to improve submitting IT help desk tickets. Next, for each persona, you then want to build out persona profiles. Your profile should include their goals and relevant information related to the process you're trying to improve or the journey that you're mapping out. Our use case here was simplifying the workday. So we included what tools the employee uses throughout the day to support them with their job. Next, you want to set out and conduct surveys and, if possible, conduct user studies. And so at Liberty Mutual, we actually sat down and watched how employees completed certain processes. This is an example of a journey map that looks at the day, life in the day of an employee. We divided the workday into 5 phases and monitored positive and negative feelings throughout the day, starting with when an employee was at the office, to when they were on the road, to when they were attending meetings and at home, looking for delighters in those moments of truth. Some advice when doing the journey mapping: you need to think broadly. Think beyond the employee life cycle. Traditionally, employee lifecycle has been something led by HR, from recruitment to the exit interview. And if you're thinking about journey mapping from this point of view, you're actually missing a huge opportunity. Don't get me wrong, HR-led processes certainly shape the employee experience and should be included as part of your employee experience strategy, but something like the employee's daily work experience is just as important. If your employee comes into work every day and doesn't have the ability to succeed at his or her job, your employee will not be engaged. They certainly will not have a meaningful experience. Meaning is the new money. The latest studies show that 9 out of 10 are willing to earn less money to do more meaningful work. So it's very critical that you look for those opportunities to create a meaningful experience for your employees. Next, we need to think about how you're going to leverage technology and what type of solutions you'll be able to leverage that not only solve your immediate needs, but also grow with your business. What we did at Liberty and how Workgrid is structured and is what we believe is key to putting employees at the center is leveraging what we call an experience layer, where you create experiences that are 100% focused on the employee by separating the user experience from your source systems, all while keeping your best-of-breed technology, the back-end systems that run your business. Again, the user experience is completely separate, offering you the flexibility and control to design experiences based on what works best for the employee. An experience layer can be achieved leveraging microservices, where you're able to separate applications into small self-containing services. Let's take a look at what this looks like in practice for the employee. On the left here, you'll see this is an example of what Liberty Mutual's Workgrid Instant looks like. You'll see a toolbar where there's multiple applications in a single experience. This toolbar is actually integrated on Liberty's intranet. And the employee is seeing information that is pulled in from multiple systems, again, into a single experience. The data is coming in from multiple applications, but the user is abstracted from the back-end complexity and any institutional knowledge that is usually required from accessing those systems on the left. Instead, employees don't have to go across multiple systems. They don't have to go across email to track alerts and receive communications and notifications. Instead, employees have access to a single notification center. Nor do employees now have to jump between applications and different interfaces to find information that is important to them and is personalized to them, such as their time off balance or payroll information. This information is readily available with a simple click. Now you may be thinking, or maybe your IT department is thinking, I could just build an experience layer into my IT services platform, or add some integrations into our HCM or learning management platform, or even your intranet, but I'm going to strongly recommend using a separate system. If you did try to build your employee experience in your service management or HR tool, you'd probably only get so far. It's going to break down, where you'll eventually get stuck and not be able to integrate all the solutions that you need to, or you'll be relying on that vendor, whether it's your internet platform or your HCM, to build out integrations for you. Also, if you have to replace your ITSM in, say, 5 years, you'd have to completely rewrite your entire employee experience. Today, these are best-of-breed solutions that you're using, but tomorrow we don't know what the offerings will be. What if you decide to switch out your learning management platform or your project management solution? You want something protected, something separate, something disciplined, where you're plugging and playing those moments of truth for the employee. You also want to ensure the platform that you're leveraging is open and extensible. Another reason, again, not to couple your employee experience into a system of record. So having a digital experience layer that is API-based and leverages microservices is really where the future-proofing comes in, allowing you the flexibility to access the same services from multiple interfaces. If your organization decides they're going to use Teams one day and maybe Slack another, or you start incorporating voice, you have a platform you can run what we call headless, which means running without any user interface, but rather you can build on top of it regardless of the interface. The last area I want to touch upon is user experience. You want to ensure your platform is flexible to handle multiple channel delivery and multiple experiences regardless of the interface, so that you can meet employees where they work. Let's take a look at the Liberty Mutual example. When Liberty Mutual looked across their employee personas, they saw that some employees weren't always at a desk. So whether you have frontline workers or want to provide more flexibility for remote workers, you need to think about how the platform can support different use cases. Liberty Mutual wanted the internet to be part of their employee experience strategy, so they put Workgrid as a toolbar directly on their internet. It looks and feels like it's part of the internet, but it's actually a separate system. And that's important because it goes back to why you would want the experience managed by a separate group. These same experiences that we can see in the toolbar on the left can be embedded across a mobile app or any other experience in the future. Liberty didn't want to give employees another place to go. So again, the toolbar was directly integrated into the internet. They also provided a mobile app, and understanding that employees that are working at a laptop or a desktop computer, they still might not always have the internet open. They created a desktop notifier where notifications could be delivered through the desktop. Another customer of Workgrid that started their employee experience initiative with their field reps knew they had to create a mobile-first experience. Their sales reps were on the field, were inside customer locations, and needed to provide them information on the mobile device. That's where they spent the majority of their day. But there were a few scenarios where the sales team was back at their desk, whether in the office or at home, and they would check a SharePoint site to drill down into sales reports, review KPIs a few times a week. Rather than the sales rep having, when they're at their laptop, have to also pull out their mobile phone to view the information that's important to them, why not pull that experience together into the existing SharePoint site, providing employees a single hub of streamlined access to all critical sales information and updates. Without understanding employees' needs and shadowing employees, the experience may have originally only have built for the mobile device. But by understanding how the employees worked and when and where and what tools they used to get work done, they were able to leverage Workgrid across both locations where it made sense for the employee. And the best part is the ability for the platform to be flexible to do that. To deliver engaging and intelligent employee experience, you really need to look and understand focusing on employee intent. This is what we're used to in our personal lives. Google is a great example of this. When you do a Google search for a restaurant, Google doesn't give you the definition of a restaurant. It gives you a listing of nearby restaurants, along with other relevant information, such as the phone number of the restaurant, a link directly to their menu. You can see reviews, directions. Again, all the relevant things that are based on the fact that your outcome is probably finding a nearby restaurant to order from or to go to. And Google knows your location, so it's presenting you with only restaurants that are nearby. At Workgrid, we call this outcome-driven development or outcome-driven design. And it stems from design thinking, coming up with the ideal experience and building towards that ideal experience. For instance, let's say you have an employee who wants to go on vacation. There may be a series of things that employee needs to do beforehand. Update the HR system to take time off, communicate with their team, and eventually update Outlook and set an out of the office reminder, and then whatever else. And so what we do is we try to find and put the focus on their outcome. If they want to go on vacation, can we get that down to 0 steps? Probably not. But how many steps can we get it down to? Why is it that the employee has to go into each one of those systems individually? Why can't the systems talk to each other? So that's what we've done. What we've built is this workflow where we give employees one experience within the Workgrid platform where employees can fill out that they want to take time off, block their calendar, and set their out of the office reminder. And it's abstracting all the complexity for the employee, and it really is just getting down to the one thing they need to do. So you can see here on the screen, it might be hard to see, but the employee can select the type of time they're scheduling off. It's a vacation day, the date, it starts and ends, put notes into the system. Then there's 2 check boxes that allows them to block their dates out of Outlook and also set their out of the office message and include what that message is in the text box and click submit. And then again, Workgrid is abstracting the user and updating all those systems on the user's behalf. And that's how we look at business processes. We want to reduce it down to as little as clicks as possible. Lastly, any experience that you're creating for the employee, it has to be centered around the employee, and it has to be the consumer-like experiences that employees are used to. And the experiences that our employees are used to are ones where the UX and the experience is dedicated and centered around the employee. And so I think what is going to be key for you to deliver these types of experiences is to really take a bottoms-up approach. Find out from employees what they want to see, where they want to see it, and in what frequency. What to them would be the most helpful or the most impactful. Sometimes it will be the small things that you'd never think of if you took a top-down approach. The tools you use should be able to target certain experiences to certain personas, such as communications. And that's common in a lot of tools, especially across the internet. But you also need to ensure that employees can choose how they want to tailor the experience based on what's important to them, whether that's choosing what communications they opt into or what apps they like to see on the internet homepage and in what order. You'll also want to ensure the experience is intelligent, personalized, and contextual. Rolling out a chatbot is a great example. We speak to companies who have rolled out chatbots with other vendors and have failed because these chatbots weren't actually delivering the consumer-like experiences. The company thought chatbot, that's consumer-like, but that's not what the employee wants. If the chatbot is just directing employees to a multiple-page PDF where the employee still has to dig out the answer, or if the chatbot isn't helpful, the employees will lose trust, and they will lose trust fast. You want your employees to know you support them and value their time. Employees across the globe, if you're a global company, may have the same questions, but the answers are most likely probably need to be different. Maybe based on what country they reside in, or if they're a full-time employee or a part-time employee. And the irony is, we know this information about our employees. We know where their home office is. We know if they're part-time or full-time. So how come we can't deliver experiences to employees where the chatbot would provide an answer that's contextual based on who the employee is? And you can do that. You can leverage the data you have on your employees to provide those types of experiences. And that's how you should be thinking. And you want to always make sure, not only do you include employees, but make sure you're continuously collecting feedback and listen to your employees. Involve them through the entire journey and make sure you respond and react quickly to feedback so that they feel valued. Now, I ran some of those strategy planning tips pretty fast, but it all really boils down to you want your intranet to be a key player in your employee experience strategy. It belongs there. It should be there. Don't undervalue your intranet, and make sure that the other stakeholders within your organization also don't undervalue the internet, and they are looking at employee experience from this way where the employee is actually put in the center. You don't want to have tools that are competing with each other. You don't want your intranet and your HCM tool competing with each other. Again, the experience should always focus around the employee, providing a single source of truth where the employee wants to work and get information with streamlined workflows and processes, where communications are centralized and they're personalized and tailored to each employee. And again, continuously work with employees to refine the experience. Hope you found this information and presentation useful, and I thank everyone for their time today.